Okay, so I want to show you a quick video about kind of how this is going to work. Now, I haven't included the camera with the vision system and all. We're in Inkscape, and I'm basically going to export this as a DXF. So I would hit Files, Save As, the DXF Release 14, and it's kind of an oval, not really a circle. And we're going to use the LW polyline output and hit Replace because I've already got that saved. And then in my software, we'll just come and bring that in. We're going to tell it that we're going to use the knife on both of these cuts. Now, if we had these in separate layers, this was in a different layer and this was in a different layer, then we could use a lot of different tools and different cutters. So if we had a laser pointer or even our camera, we could bring in our registration marks and things like that. But we tell it which tool it is, and then we can go to that tool. The tool lift is 3. We can change that. We can change the feed rate, the working height, and things like that. But anyway, and I know that circle looks jagged, but I promise it'll be smooth whenever it cuts. It's just the way it imports it into this with a DXF file. So basically, I've got my G code here. I'll turn my camera on, even though we don't need it, but I'm going to hit Zone Tool 2. Now the first thing you need to do is C-axis. Now this C-axis is going to be essentially the motor that I drop down through the where my spindle would typically go. So you run the homing procedure for this, which it turns it and automatically points it this direction. Now all I have to do is hit play, and it's going to start its little motion. And it's already on the first. It finds the first angle that it needs to be at. Then it drops down in, and it should lift at the end of every cut and turn the direction it needs to go, just like that. So essentially, this NEMA 23 motor is going to be turning as a C-axis. It's actually going to be just the 4th axis, but the 5th motor in my software or off my control board. And as I said, when it gets to the circle, it should just make one smooth cut all the way around it. And this has been I've been kind of testing it for a while, but I've used the vision system with the spindle, but never with this because I haven't had a way to mount it. Although I have hooked the motor up, I've got the motor, I've had it wired up, and it will actually spin and turn just like this. And there we go. So that would be the complete file. Now I've got it set to 2 passes, so it would actually go and cut it twice, whatever depth that it's actually cutting. So we're almost finished here. But essentially, that's what I'm trying to do. Is the arrow that you see turning is actually going to be a NEMA 23 motor that I set down through the Shapeoko mount, spindle mount. Let this finish, and there we go. We're 100%. But this one was set on 2 passes because there's actually, if you look, there's actually 2 stars there, so that's why I did 2 passes. But anyway, this is the images that I've sent you. Basically, that motor's going to turn this, and I don't have that mounted just yet because I need to file that out just a bit to get it to go over that shaft. So I'm going to take that back off and do that. This is just an X-Acto knife, so if I need to make that piece longer to fit through whatever you determine I need to do, because I would love to be able to take a cylinder with that mounted to it and just drop that down in it, tighten these 2 Allens and go with it. But at the same time, if it pushes down too hard with that, I need to put something in there that's going to keep it from sliding up. So in which case I could run I put a band clamp, like a hose clamp, around the bottom of my 52mm spindle because I had to print an adapter that I found online for that to fit in this. So, and what was happening as it was hitting the bottom, it would push the motor up, which was changing the Z changing the Z height, and it went cutting all the way through my material at some points as it was bottoming out. So I just basically I remedied that by 3D printing that a little bit longer and putting the actually it wasn't longer, I just basically took the hose clamp, a 2-inch hose clamp, and put around that and tightened it up, which kept it from pushing up. So anyway, that's basically what I've done. I had an idea about maybe drilling holes here and here, here and here. You gotta miss these 2 screws is the only thing, and you know, it just works out terrible because the way this is, these holes go right through the middle of that. If it wasn't for that, I'm sure I could make some kind of plate to go on it out of aluminum, just drilling holes, but I don't think it's that simple. I've also thought about maybe having something come into the side that I could drill and tap 2 holes into this and having it mounted off the side, but at the same time I could just drag it out of my way, because when I use this, I'm probably going to be using it 2 or 3 days at a time and then switching back to my spindle. And even if I had a whole nother mount here, I could drop that down and just remove this completely and put another one on it if this piece was 3D printed, maybe as just a standalone unit. So either way, it's going to take me just a few minutes to swap it out, but at the same time it'd be worth it. I think there's only 2 screws here, which I do have those in with Loctite, but that wouldn't be a big issue because you don't get a lot of vibration and things when cutting PVC. It usually cuts pretty smooth, and it's not gonna vibrate loose. So anyway, that's my plan. If you could come up with anything to help me out, it'd be great. And I'm actually swamped with work right now, and I really don't have time to sit down and learn. I'm sure I could sit down and learn fusion in several days, but and I wouldn't be an expert at it, but I'd be glad to pay you whatever you need or want. I'll be glad to fix you up, and I appreciate it. And if you got any questions, I'll send my number as well if you'd like to call or text or whatever. I'd be glad to talk with you, and we'll talk price or whatever. Thanks again.